Good morning.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Garden America. Welcome to our live broadcast from Mission Hills Nursery, located in beautiful San Diego, California. The audio might be just a little bit different. We had some technical problems earlier with our board, so we are doing it a bit different this morning, and hopefully you'll be able to hear us. Are you confused, John?
No, I'm listening on Tiger's computer, and you sound good.
Yeah, we're feeding differently, but hopefully those watching us on Facebook Live, you'll be able to hear us. We are not broadcasting or taping for Biz Talk Radio today, so we're going to go straight through, no commercial breaks. It's going to take a lot of time and effort on our part to keep going, and hopefully, John, you're in shape to do this, because no breaks.
You know, I'm in shape because I listened to your show last week, which was Garden Fit.
Yeah, Garden Fit, right?
Yeah, I wasn't here. I missed you guys.
But you're fit already. That show wouldn't have been for you because you've been fit for years.
I don't know about that.
It's all those lifting and pulling roses and clipping roses, right?
But I did, I was at the San Diego Rose Society's Rose Show and our auction.
And you know what? You, my friend, are a winner.
I
ding,
did.
Ding, ding.
I won the best seedling.
Which I can get it.
Now is that your rose or you?
No, it was the rose that I bred, which was a cross between, and this was kind of funny, it's a cross between a rose called Wild Dancer and one called the Fairy.
And you put those two together?
I got them together. But when they first made out the sign, I was up on the trophy table, they said, okay, now what is that? And so I told the people making the tags, that's Wild Dancer by the Fairy. So I didn't say crossed with the Fairy.
Yeah, by. What does that mean?
Well, by means crossed. I thought
Does
everyone would
really
know that. So they just wrote it all out. And everybody go, oh, look at that rose. What a weird name. It's called Wild Dancer by the Fairy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so are you a third party? What's that? A ghostwriter? So John is other rose creator name is the Fairy.
So if John is writing a book, but somebody else is actually writing the book, that's the ghost writer. And in this case, I guess you can compare it to be almost the same thing. Congratulations, John.
I don't know. Anyway, that I can hold it up if that helps.
I got a good shot on it. If you want to talk about it,
yeah, let's talk about it.
Show the rose.
Let's show the rose. Let's do that.
You already showed it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got it right here.
Well, I don't need to hold it up.
Look at. Just wait 1 second, and it will be on your screen here, John.
Right.
And I will hold that shot for you. Oops. Yeah. There it is. See?
It is. It looks whited out. It actually looks like a phlox. Looks like a phlox there. But anyway, the attributes that I think are worthy is lots and lots of blooms.
Yeah.
So
it's a prolific bloomer.
Yeah, so I think it's one I'm going to introduce.
Self-cleaning?
So far it's hard to tell, but it looks like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just fall right through and put out new ones kind of a thing?
Yeah. I see our friend Carla has joined us online, and she was at the show last week, and she brought Watsonia bulbs to share. And I brought some of them with me, so if anybody is in the area of Mission Hills Nursery and you want to come by, just come up and ask us for Watsonia bulbs. You can have some.
You can have some.
Yeah, Watsonias are hard to find now. Used to be able to get all different colors, and they look a little bit like gladiolas, except not as funerary.
Yeah, right. And so, it's just hard to find bulbs in general right now. So, it's just kind of a thing that, is tough to find in the marketplace in terms of bulbs. And then, but online, there's a wide resources of really unique and fun bulbs that you can just mail order.
Right.
And
But South African bulbs in general, I think, are hard to get.
Why?
I don't know.
They just don't create them and then distribute them kind of a thing?
Well, they don't come from South Africa, so you have to have people in the U.S. growing South African bulbs, and I don't think there's that many growers anymore, because you have the big growers in Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah, shipping their bulbs everywhere. But there's not a similar source in South Africa.
And as we know, also, most of the gardening is done on the East Coast, where those Holland bulbs actually perform and do well
Right,
and
right.
and grow. Where on the West Coast, the South African bulbs would be the best for us,
Right.
but they're just not as big of a following.
A smaller market.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So
My son sent me a text from Indianapolis last week, and he said, "This is what spring should look like." And he had pictures of tulips and daffodils and all kinds.
But that's a whole new way of life and gardening.
Yeah, he's
you
learning
go from
about
San
it.
Diego to Indianapolis.
He said the number one thing he learned is never cut down anything without leaves until spring.
It's a re-education.
Yeah, he said he was going to cut down a bunch of sticks in the back of his yard, and he said he left them, and now he sees they're lilacs.
yeah. So for those of you that don't know, we're live here at Mission Hills Nursery. You see hustle and bustle happening around us.
People coming and going.
You might be hearing some audio kind of coming in and out, but we're here because it's the annual Mission Hills Garden Tour, Mission Hills Garden Walk.
Oh, I thought we were here because of what today is.
The Naked Gardening
Naked
Day.
Gardening Day.
World Naked Gardening Day.
You're gonna go?
Huh?
Well, no, we
Well,
should.
you're like-
Wait a minute. We should come clean here. There's a reason why we're sitting down.
Yeah.
We're not going to stand up because we decided it is Naked Gardening Day, but we're just going to go half naked, right?
Well, yesterday was National No Pants Day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know all these weird holidays?
John's into this.
Yeah.
No, I just you gotta keep track of what's going on every day. But anyway, today that's a real thing, World Naked Gardening. But tomorrow's Mother's Day, so that's the
That's
real
right.
reason we're here, right?
We got
Right.
Mother's Day coming up tomorrow. Don't forget your mom.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I thought that, what a better place to come to if you're in the San Diego area than Mission Hills Nursery, because I have to admit, I've found more stuff for Father's Day right now
Yeah.
than for Mother's Day. I'll have to start thinking about it.
Are there more cards sent out? I think this is the one holiday where more Hallmark cards are
Really?
sent out than
I'm
any
sure.
other holiday.
You
It's up there. I know that.
I remember starting out in the nursery business when I was 16 years old. And at Mother's Day in Detroit, people all came in to buy, what are those called? Corsages.
Oh yeah,
For
sure.
their mother.
Of course.
Yeah, and there were orchids, there were carnation corsages.
Put them on and go to church.
Yeah, we'd make them right there, and there were all kinds of things you were supposed to do. If your mother was still alive, you wore a colored flower. If she was dead, you wore a white flower.
I did not know this.
There's a whole thing to it, right?
There's a whole deal here going.
You obviously haven't done your Mother's Day research.
Yeah, mother's passed away, mother's still alive, different coordinations of corsages,
Right.
colors back and forth.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard on a 17-year-old brain. So, Tiger, as I look around here, you guys have to take inventory.
Yes.
I obviously you do, but goodness gracious, there's thousands of plants here.
There's a lot going on, huh?
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and I say that, for all nurseries, springtime is the time of year when you have not just the most inventory, but the most variety of
right,
inventory,
exactly.
because, that's the time when you've got the flowers, you've got the shrubs, you've got the trees, you've got the perennials, you've got annuals, there's some bulbs, different things, and so there's a lot to keep track of, but, they're doing a great job here at the store, and they keep refreshing the plants weekly, because as we know,
Because people buy them.
people buy them, and every week growers are releasing new things. A
Right.
grower plans their year by weeks, and every week there's certain plants that they start and then they finish them at a later time, and so that way they're kind of timing the way the plant grows, but at the same time they're timing when it will be in the marketplace. And right now for growers, this is the biggest time to put it in the marketplace. So a lot of it's funny, growers work with a finite amount of space, in their
Right,
yards,
sure,
acres,
sure.
greenhouse space, and you go in there sometimes and they're bursting with stuff, but then you can go there other times and there's zero inventory in a whole greenhouse. Obviously that's not the ideal way to do things, but it's just what happens.
Sure.
in terms of, you know, if you're in between growing seasons on something, you have all this space that you do need for when you need the plant, but then what do you do with it in the other times? Maybe they should get into like hosting like paintball matches or something, I don't know, in big greenhouses.
You know, one of those new plants you're talking about is a new one for me too. You know, salvias, when you think of salvias, you think of two colors basically, red or blue.
Yeah.
But in front of me over here is one called Lemon Light, which is a really pretty yellow salvia.
And you know, there are some yellow salvias, but that one's really yellow.
Yeah, there's some that are a real pale yellow. But,
and then it's yellow all the way through. You can see because there's that Salvia Hot Lips, right, which is the white and the red, and a lot of times, you know, the different edges
the lip is a different
color.
right.
But this is yellow on yellow.
Yeah,
which, you know, they really did some breeding to make that happen because they had to kind of, you know, breed out the two colors already.
Right.
So that's a cool one, huh?
Yeah, I like that. And then next to the row, to my rows in front, was a Penstemon with tall upright stems. A lot of Penstemon, which are great plants for warm climates. You know, most of them will take some hot, dry conditions. But some of them are kind of sprawly.
Sprawly?
Yeah, sprawly.
I like that. Sprawly.
But this one here is got tall upright stems, which look to me like they'd be great for cutting also. And I forgot the name of it. I'll take a look.
Let's see what John is looking at.
Sour grapes.
Sour grapes?
So wine, right?
Yeah, sour grapes.
Yeah.
That's a great one. You know, that's what I was talking about.
Don't fall over.
You all right there?
That's what I was talking about when I was saying there's a lot of Father's Day gifts here. And I saw a new plant that I've never seen before, and maybe you know something about it because I don't. It's in front of Brian over there, and it was called buttonbush.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of buttons growing on a bush.
Yeah.
And my guess would be that it's a water thrifty plant.
It looks like one, right? Like one of those South African kind of, Australian maybe. Yeah. You know, kind of like a wax flower growth.
Right.
But
it looks like it would be good for cut flowers.
Yes. Yeah. It's good. Cool foliage too. All those kind of family of plants have that kind of ferny foliage, not the leaf foliage, and so it really softens up a landscape when you incorporate it into a bed. So that's kind of neat.
My Facebook picture's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Is yours?
No.
No, we're looking good over here.
All right, then I'm just going to refresh.
So yeah, just want to remind everybody we're live here at Mission Hills Nursery. We're going to just be doing the Facebook Live broadcast this morning. So feel free to ask questions, ask questions about what's happening here at the nursery.
We're taking no break.
If you have questions about what's in inventory at the nursery, let us know and we can find out for you. But at the same time, we're also here to answer your gardening questions as far as maybe there's something you're planning on planting or planning on doing this weekend. Maybe you have a problem with a plant. Feel free, go right into the chat feature on the Facebook Live broadcast, type it in. We'll see it pop up, and we will make sure to answer your question. We see a lot of people visiting from all around the world right now.
Yeah, exactly. We got Pakistan checked in.
Some people are even typing in languages we can't even read.
Exactly.
So we have to hit the translate button,
so,
right?
Yeah, so welcome. And again, maybe you're looking for a plant, you've had a hard time, locating it, trying to find it. Ask us. Maybe it's right here. Maybe Tiger has it. Thousands upon thousands of plants here. Tiger knows every single one of them.
No.
Because we're not recording this show, does that mean we're not taking any breaks?
Correct.
No breaks.
So I'm going to just butt in with the quote of the week.
Yes,
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Hey, this is live. We are flying by the seat of our pants here.
Okay, this is from quote is from David Hobson, who is a Canadian garden writer.
Eh?
He says, "I grow plants for many reasons: to please my eye or to please my soul, to challenge the elements or to challenge my patience, for novelty or for nostalgia, but mostly, like you, Brian, for the joy of seeing them grow."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, used one of my pictures in the newsletter this week, and I had no idea, but it was the ox tongue.
The gasteria, right?
Yes.
It's just the bloom, though.
Just the bloom, because it bloomed like once a year, I think. It hasn't bloomed
Pretty
since
much.
you gave it to me.
Right, pretty much.
And so I focused in on that. I blurred the background, and it came out really nice in the newsletter. Now, would you consider that something rare? I mean, I don't think most people don't have that in their garden.
Well, not in the garden, because it's not a good garden plant.
It's a good patio plant on a table.
It's a succulent.
Yes.
And it's excellent for low light,
Oh, it's,
where most succulents are not.
yeah.
They need a lot of light, but that is similar to a Sansevieria. It will tolerate low light, in a great house plant on a patio.
I knew what you were thinking. Okay, he's had it a year. When I gave it to him, it was in bloom. Let's see if it blooms again next year. Let's see if he takes care of it. Let's see.
I seem to recall when I gave it to you, it was, you can have this for a little while.
Yeah, it was a rental.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then give it back.
Yeah, well, when it's done blooming, you can have it back.
But
I just wanted to go that full cycle to make sure,
Well, I was thinking that you had commandeered it to where it was yours now.
No, anything, you could come by anytime and take whatever you want out of there.
I might need cuttings of Nimbus,
Yeah.
because what was the rose? Green Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that grew really well. For some reason, the Nimbus did not take.
My Nimbus is doing very well.
Yeah, so I'll need to get some of that.
So speaking of rentals, I went Mother's Day shopping for Janine this week, and I ended up there. I believe it's called Pacific Orchids. It's right there off of the 5 as you come down in through like Lucadia or Encinitas. It's right across from Widener's Gardens, and they do a great job of orchid growing there. And one of the things that they do, and this is such an orchid thing, so you can actually give them your non-blooming orchid, and they will take care of it to the point where when it blooms again,
And they give it back to you?
They give it back to you.
Well, that's kind of what I was doing with John.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I was ahead of the game.
You were.
I think the main difference is that they charge you for
Yeah,
that.
they do. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Well,
But,
we got a couple of questions, actually,
let's go.
2 or 3. Let's back up here because let's go back up to the top to make sure we don't miss anybody. Are you on there, John? Did you
No,
get
my
back on?
screen is frozen, so
You just close it and open it up again.
okay.
Can you go? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to scroll back up here. I'm having a little.
All right. Let's see if we can
Because
answer
I know
some
Lori
questions from
is
people.
the most recent, but we have a couple of 2 or 3 above her.
Okay. Sun's trying to come out in CDM. Thank you for everyone.
Is that Corona Del Mar?
Yes.
Here we go. Okay, Tiger, do you mail
Did a
order?
good job on the auction, but you were missed. You too, Tiger. You were missed at the auction, Brian.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Good morning, San Jose.
Okay, here we go. Lisa, I have spider mites already. Best solution to get rid of spider mites.
Ooh, on what plants,
Yeah,
Lisa?
Lisa, what-
because different things for different products for different spider mites. But I mean, I know that Fertilome has a product called Triple Action, which is a topical spray that is a insecticide, miticide, and fungicide all in one. And one of the problems with spider mites is that they're all over the plant, tops and bottom.
Right.
So you have to be doing a good job spraying the entire plant. Also, whenever you use any topical spray, you have to be careful not to apply it in the heat of the day or in the full sun, because you could burn the plant. And a lot of times with spider mites, there's a lot of damage done to the foliage. It's this speckled, looking foliage. There's all these spider mites all over it. So I feel like the plants are a little bit more susceptible to getting that burn damage from a insecticide, especially if it's in the heat of the day. What else on spider mites? There's something else. I feel like the name's escaping me.
Well, one thing to remember on spider mites is that if you're spraying with insecticides, that might be causing the spider mites, because you're killing the predators for spider mites.
You're killing everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But not the spider mites.
Right.
And one of the main chemicals that will cause that is 7. I mean, there's others, but 7 is number 1. If you use 7, can almost guarantee you're going to get spider mites.
Yeah.
Don't use 7 or Siete. Either one of them.
Ocho is okay though.
And in washing off the plant,
That's a great
way,
way
right?
to eliminate spider mites is just hose down the foliage.
Yeah.
They don't like a lot of water.
yeah, they actually thrive in that like hot, dry spot on the plant, right?
Right. Dry is exactly the thing that they like. They don't like humidity.
Yeah. So houseplants, it's sometimes difficult because they're inside, and obviously you keep them dry in there. And then people will say, "Oh, well, I'll just take a spray bottle and mist them for the humidity." But then you can open yourself up for other diseases. So you just have to be careful with that, making sure that it does dry. It doesn't stay humid all the time,
Right.
but at the same time, like inside in a window, houseplants wise, that's like a real easy spot for spider mites to attack.
And what you were saying earlier was good advice to make sure that if you are going to spray, you do use something that has a miticide in it, because regular chemicals for insects don't take care of
Like
mites.
neem oil doesn't do that, right?
I think neem might, because
It
it
suffocates them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of the insecticides, like John mentioned, 7 or the other ones, they just kill all the other bugs around them, but they actually don't kill the spider mites. So,
Do you mail order, Tiger?
do we mail order plants?
Yes, Carla's question.
No, sorry. Yeah, that's tough. Something hopefully we would get better at. We are working on for the future, but it's tough to ship a 5-gallon blueberry.
Do you send Ubers to people's home though, and bring them to the nursery?
There you
let
go.
them pick them out and go.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to go, right?
It's a good idea, John.
Yeah, or just have Uber pick up the plant and take it.
Veronica says, would you still a baby jade tomato plant?
Something stomped on hers and it died.
I think she means, do you still have?
Baby jade
Yeah.
tomato.
That doesn't
Baby
sound
jade. That doesn't.
familiar.
Yeah. There were those jade plants.
Right.
Remember, with the blue,
But-
and we had those for a period of time. But tomato, I'm not sure. Maybe that was a tomato mania variety, and I still don't know if I've seen that variety, baby jade. So, oh, look at this! We're getting breakfast served to us.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
John has an important question for you, Tiger.
Oh yeah, this is
Okay.
probably the most important question of the day.
Tiger, where can I get a shirt like that?
Right? You have to ask my wife. I don't even know. She buys my outfits. Hold on one second. Let me zoom out real quick.
There you go.
But it fits. I'm almost camouflaged.
It fits.
You can't.
It fits.
Meaning you can't see me in the background.
Oh, it blends into
It blends in
to the
right?
background. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't like, if I was to be right over this Westringia bush here, you wouldn't know where the Westringia bush stopped and started.
I keep swatting bees away from you.
Yeah, I know you're gonna get pollinated on there.
Oh goodness.
Tiger.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we continue down the line here. What can I use to get rid of the white woolly looking bugs?
Ooh, that could be one of two things. That could be a mealy bug, which is a woolly, usually in the joints of the plant. They're white, fuzzy kind of globs on the plant. Or that could be woolly whitefly, which is the beard hanging from below the leaf, very common on hibiscus.
Or it could be woolly aphids.
Geez, now we're throwing too
Here we
much in
go.
there. Woolly aphids, right? So
Unfortunately, the sprays you need would take care of all of them, right?
Mm-hmm. So, again, the most simple approach for all 3 of those is going to be high-powered water wash off the plant to begin with. And I always say that even if you're going to use a pesticide, that's a great way to start, because that really eliminates a lot of the stuff. See, when you use spray pesticides, you have to target the area specifically, because as John mentioned, probably neem oil suffocates the plant. So if it doesn't or suffocates the bug. So if it doesn't get on the bug, it doesn't work.
These are on her orchids, by the way.
Yeah, this
Orchids.
is
So
more.
orchids.
Yeah, a little more information
Yeah.
there on orchids in the house. So probably mealybug, right? And the first thing to do, Veronica, would, and you can read this information online, but just get a Q-tip and dip it in rubbing alcohol and wipe off all that first.
Mm-hmm.
And that might just take care of it.
Yeah. The tough part is depending on the orchid, they get in the joint right there. So that's why Q-tip's a really good idea. You know,
and you can just wipe them off. And then if they come back, I mean, you can think about spraying, but
orchids are tough to spray because they don't respond well. They get burned really easily.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I think I would keep up with the Q-tip and the rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
Here's one from Lori, guys. Should I be feeding my dragon fruit plant? With what? Here in San Diego, container-grown dragon fruit.
If it was in a container, I would just use Osmocote. That's me. I mean, there's a lot of things you could use.
Yeah.
But, or any time release. I don't know if the other time release fertilizers that are out there. But then you can put it on at the beginning of the year, this time, right now, and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the year. So, once a year feeding would be fine.
Yeah, I think the only thing, you know, as if it's in a container is, you know, there's so much phosphorus in our native soil.
Right.
And dragon fruit are one of those bloom, produce a fruit, you know, and that's where the phosphorus comes from, so it's not a big deal. But in a container, if you don't ever fertilize, it eventually just drains everything that's in there. So that's where I think, you know, like John mentioned, the Milorganite on all purpose, because you get in a nice equal balance of you know, vitamins and minerals and, you know, all that stuff in there that it just always has it. And I don't think dragon fruits are heavy feeders, and you know, I mean, they're kind of a succulent, and
they're actually a cactus.
You know, so they don't need, you know, I remember talking to the gentleman up there at Waterwise Botanicals, and he was saying that, you know, cactus, the only thing that they need is nitrogen every once in a while. They don't really need any other, you know, fertilizer. You know, there's no phosphorus, no potash, none of these other micro minerals. They really just need nitrogen, and then even then it's not very often. So yeah.
Do you know that we've talked about this before, but did you know that desert soils had a lot more nutrients than tropical soils?
Because they never leached out, right? Yeah. Yeah, because it
in the
never
tropics,
rains.
It rains all the time, and
Right.
it just washes everything into the soil.
Yeah.
But it never rains, or rarely rains, in the desert soils, so they're pretty fertile.
And you know, and people don't understand this I've talked about this before, and it's organic fertilizers are made up of things like bone meal, blood meal, kelp, you know, fish emulsion, all this stuff, right? And if you understand chemistry, everything has a half-life. So, you know, it all started here, and then in 500 years, half of it exists, and that's the organic materials.
Right.
Chemicals, that half-life could be hours. You know, if you've opened a bag of Miracle Grow and go the next day, there's a white, you know, layer and then the blue, and that's because it reacted with the air, and there's not as much of whatever was in there before. And so when you talk about the deserts, some of those deserts were ocean floor, and all that ocean floor stuff is still there because you know, it's been there for thousands of years, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Nothing has really leached it out.
Yeah. So,
Brian, your favorite thing to do is go in the desert and pick up rocks looking for lobsters.
And
You've never found one, though.
well, I came close. I found one that was,
quick.
we're not even sure it was a lobster.
It was a lizard.
I thought it was a lobster, but yeah, it might have been a lizard.
Yeah.
So Veronica in Spring Valley says yes. She got it at Tomato Mania.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not
So
sure.
it's a baby jade tomato.
Yeah.
I wonder if your mother ever heard of a baby jade tomato.
Did you see any baby jade tomatoes at Tomato Mania?
I did.
Were there?
The plants were little.
But there was that variety, and we don't have any more though. I'm assuming now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Veronica. Mission Hills is out.
Is it too late in the season to plant milkweed for the monarch butterflies?
No.
No, now's the time.
Now is the time.
Yeah.
And there's plenty here, right?
Oh yeah, native, tropical, narrow leaf, all kinds of milkweed right now. To
So
plant for the
Veronica,
monarchs.
where you were going to put your tomato plant?
Put a
put some milkweed, and you'll have butterflies.
Perfect.
And
yeah.
looking at butterflies, you won't even be unhappy you don't have a tomato, right?
You won't miss them.
You
won't
won't
miss
miss
your
them at
tomatoes.
all.
There's lots of other tomatoes out there, right? Yeah. Are we caught up on all the questions
I think
now?
so. Let's see. maybe neem. That was Veronica. We discussed that. You have a
Dana
beautiful
wants to
nursery.
know if we have a chef on site because she's noticing
Yeah,
the
the
breakfast.
food, the breakfast.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, right? We just sit here and people just bring us food.
I think we are caught up. So anybody with questions, comments, feel free. You'll be the first in line.
Person should run behind you for gardening days.
Yeah, we were talking about we're
Streakers,
naked from
right.
we're naked from the bottom down.
Oh, that's
Lenore said that on her roses she had a lot of aphids, black aphids. So she just removed them with her fingers
Yeah, you can just scrape them off.
and added, ew.
Ew.
What do you
Ew.
got there, Tiger?
So this was a monardella. I just saw it because the flower looked so pretty and so cool. And we have a lot of plants from Monterey Bay Nursery here that
So
are
that
just
looks-
very unique.
Is that a cross? Because Monarda is bee
Right.
balm, right?
Right.
And this flower kind of, as it opens up,
Yeah.
reminds me of that.
Scarlet.
So I wonder if it's a
Monardella.
species or if it's crossed with something else.
It says this native is a showstopper. I don't know where it's native to because they're not specific.
All plants are native somewhere,
right?
Yeah.
You know, but
My guess is if it says native and it's from
Monterey Bay.
it's probably California native.
yeah, exactly. Maybe somewhere in the central California area, because I don't know if I've seen it down here in Southern California. But such a pretty low growing plant, and then the flowers, it just seems like it gets a lot of flowers, which for ground cover sometimes is a challenge to get a large amount of flowers with that size too. So kind of cool plant.
Veronica wants to know if she can use neem oil on house orchids. Neem on house orchids.
Yeah.
You could, but again, with oils on orchids,
Oils on orchids.
you can end up burning them.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to be real careful,
Yeah.
you know, with that, because if
Stick
they're in
with
a
the Q-tips.
if they're in a protected patio, shady area, it's not a problem. But in a window, it's going to get burned right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
And then this is another Monterey Bay plant here. This is Hedera Erectus. So it's a vertical growing ivy.
Yeah,
And you can see where it tries to latch on to walls or whatever
Right.
it's growing on. But a lot of people see trailing ivies, but it's kind of
Ivies
neat
are
to
always
see.
vines, right?
Yeah,
Except for Hedera Erecta.
more of a bush. I'm sure that would latch onto something though.
Now, if you let that go, would that become very invasive, and then after a while you'd be so...
No. The answer is no.
No, okay.
Let's see.
It looks like a pretty slow grower too.
Yeah.
It's pretty compact, so I think you can control it.
A lot of those ivies are nice in the beginning, and then when you want to get rid of them, they're everywhere. They just latch onto everything.
And they regrow with their roots,
Yeah.
kind of through the ground. Yeah, but I think they mean if you can have the ability to maintain
That's
ivy,
exactly.
it's an excellent
Maintain it.
plant.
Maintain it.
You know, when we lived in Pepper Tree, our previous house, we had ivy growing up in the ground as a ground cover.
Wasn't it growing up on your wall
And
in the backyard?
No, that was cat's claw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's why we moved.
Left that and started over something else.
Cat's claw. Talk about invasive. But anyway, my wife had a planter box in the front of the house, and we had wood facing on the house before we remodeled. And the ivy grew out of the planter box down into the ground, rooted in the ground, and then started climbing up the house. And of course, we just left it grow until the whole, I would say, half the front of the house was covered with ivy. And then my wife thought, I don't really like that, I'm going to pull it down. So she pulled it off, and the wood fascia was destroyed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we ended up having to remodel the whole house.
Remodel the whole
We
house.
did.
Not just redo the fascia.
Yeah, remodel.
Remodel the whole house.
Yeah.
Now, here's Kim's got a question here with fountains. How do you keep fountains sparkling and safe for those thirsty birds?
Well, I think we talked about this before because this is a common thing, common problem people have when it comes to their fountains. I mean, they want to have it in their landscape because of the noise or just the idea that the birds come in and
Right.
they have a place to drink water.
We just set up a new one 2 days ago.
Yeah, yeah. And, you've talked about this because of your issue there, and what have you continued to do?
This was from one of our viewers and listeners who suggested hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
And it works like a charm. No algae, the water is clean, you can drink it, so it's not going to hurt the birds. The birds keep coming back, and they're the same birds, so I assume they're okay. but no, that water is clean and clear for weeks and weeks at a time, and eventually, once the peroxide cycles through, you're going to have a little bit of algae, but it controls it wonderfully. So hydrogen peroxide.
So how many gallons of water do you have in your fountain? Maybe like 4 or 5?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
okay.
that would be safe.
And what do you put in there?
Oh, I eyeball it.
No, but I mean, you can't. It'd be hard to do a lot. But what do you put? Like half a cup?
I'd say probably about a half a cup, a few capfuls
of hydrogen peroxide.
Right, of hydrogen peroxide.
And how often? Once a month?
I'd say once a month, maybe once a month.
Oh,
once a month.
good.
Because the first time I did it, I sat back and said, okay, well, a week from now, 2 weeks, and it seemed to go for about a month.
Okay.
So
now, one of our sponsors, Summit Chemical, makes mosquito dunks.
Right.
Right, yes.
Which you can float in there so that you won't get mosquito
You won't get
larvae.
mosquitoes either.
And that's not going to harm the birds
No,
either.
that's safe for birds too. And we've got hummingbirds, we've got finches, we've got even a couple of crows stopping by.
Really?
Yeah, they kind of, because I think they see the other birds there, and then the mockingbirds come in and chase the crows away.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like security, the mockingbirds.
mockingbirds.
Yeah, they're like security. But yeah, we get a lot of birds coming by, the hummingbirds love it, and again, the peroxide seems to do the trick.
All right.
So there you go.
Carla was reading the newsletter, and she says, thank you for the article on cinnamon. And
One of my favorites, by the way. I put cinnamon on everything.
what was that? Who's saying cinnamon?
Cinnamon, let me in. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
Yeah.
Open up cinnamon, I want more.
Who was that? Was that Tommy James? and
No.
the Shondells? No. All right. Anyway.
I'll think of it.
Okay, that's off topic. But she also spoke to someone at the Rose Show and was wondering if she used it alone to use it as a rooting hormone, or if you mix it with a rooting hormone. And it works best, Carla, for me, if I mix it 50-50 and then just dust the stems. And the reason you use cinnamon is so that the stems don't rot. Cinnamon's a great fungicide.
Mm-hmm.
I also learned this week that it's good for damping off for seedlings.
Really?
If you sprinkle the top of the soil with cinnamon, then you don't get damping off.
Oh, interesting.
You hate damping off, don't you?
I just think that's something you should do alone. I love the term, though. Yeah, damping off. We talked about that too, John, a while back, and I think it's good advice.
Yeah. Lori mentions that morning glories are the most invasive thing she's ever
Yeah.
seen. I think that while that could be true, I think it would put up a fight with cat's claw, but I still think cat's claw.
I think
is
cat's
worse.
claw's got to be the worst, right?
Yeah.
But it also depends on the morning glory. Lori, I don't know where she's at, but the standard purple morning glory,
Right.
Very invasive. I agree.
Right.
Up there with cat's claw, Thumbergia, is another really invasive vine. But I like those annual morning glories that you buy because they just die back by themselves, pretty easily. I
Oh,
feel.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So there are some morning glories that
Right.
will just do one season and then they take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't, for us, they don't always reseed that much. So the next year, it's not like I have a worse problem. Because you know which plant I was considering planting because they're in bloom right now and they always look spectacular?
What?
The, is it Oenthurna, the beach evening primrose? The little pink?
Oh, the Mexican
evening primrose. The
Right.
beach is the yellow one, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, the Mexican evening primrose, right?
Those are really pretty and really invasive.
Have you ever had any out there?
Yes.
Because it's common to just get them, right?
Another reason I had to move from my old house.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they come up everywhere.
they come up everywhere and they reseed everywhere and
Can you imagine the buyers of John's house? Well, can you tell us why you're moving?
All
and, he,
these
and he gives them all
plants.
this list of things, and they're probably like, "So what?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess." Now, do you know these people? Are they taking care of the old house, John? Are they gardeners? Are they into it? Are they?
John just goes and sits in the driveway every once in a
No,
while.
you know what's funny is they sold it 6 months later at a loss and moved to Connecticut.
Really?
But the guy that's there now is a dog trainer, and the
Oh, so
dogs
you
have
know
kept everything down.
You know the owners after the last owners then, right?
I do.
Oh, that's funny.
Liquid hormone. Should I switch to powder? Carla.
No, okay,
It was the
Carla.
cinnamon, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what you can do is you can dip the cuttings in the liquid hormone and then dust a little bit of cinnamon on while the cuttings are still damp, and that'll work.
Yeah. Are we all caught up on questions?
I think we're caught up. If we missed some one of your questions, go ahead and repost it. But I think we're caught up.
All
Can
right.
I
I do
take
believe.
like a 2-minute break
Yes.
while you guys are talking?
Yeah, no problem at all.
Now the camera's going to show your empty chair, which is going to look kind of sad.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I'm thinking that might be David that's watching us. Is that correct? Are you David? Are you David?
Yeah.
Okay, so I brought something for him.
Oh, okay.
So you
yeah,
guys
go.
go on with the show.
Oh, absolutely.
For those of you watching,
I'm gonna
can't
take
see
care of
behind the
business.
Yeah,
I
no
may need
problem.
my sunglasses in a second out of
I
my
know,
car
right?
too.
So since we're all caught up on all the questions, I wanted to kind of cover the topic for this morning's show, which is garden walks. I mean,
Oh,
every community should have a garden walk. I mean, it's a great opportunity to get inspiration for yards. It's a great opportunity to get outside and see what people are doing.
Now, for those that don't know, what is a garden walk to begin with?
Yeah, so what it should be is a community event where usually ticket sales benefit a garden club or some kind of
Okay.
organization,
And you're walking through people's gardens.
and you get the opportunity to actually go in people's yards, see what they've done with their
Right.
yards,
Get some ideas.
get some ideas, real life, tangible ideas. This isn't magazines, these aren't TV shows where it's all put together. This is their yard.
This is your
You get
neighbor
to
down
walk
the
through.
street.
Yes, exactly.
What they did,
Yeah,
which
and-
means you can probably do it as well.
Right, and so that's what a garden tour or a garden walk is. Now it's like, okay, you found out you have these in your community. How to best use them? So you bought your ticket. Now you're going to attend the walk. Obviously nowadays we all have phones that take pictures.
Right.
That's the number one thing
Yeah.
you need to have with you, because you need to be able to take pictures and get these ideas and bring them back home. The second thing that's kind of hard is if the walk is put together, by a pretty good organization. They're going to have docents at each house, which should be able to answer some of the questions
Right.
in terms of what plants are there.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing too is, you go and you see a plant, you're like, I want it, but then there's no name on it
Right,
or
exactly.
anything. So again, but this is where it helps to go back to taking your picture. And if the docent can't answer it and the homeowner's not there to be able to answer what it is, you take that photo to your local garden center. And again,
And they can probably identify it.
they've probably
Yeah.
seen it, and
Yeah.
they should be able to identify it. Now, if that doesn't work out for you, please share your picture with us. You can do it via our Facebook. You can send us
Right.
an email from our Facebook. Include the picture. Include where you took it at, what city, what state, just so that we have some regional
We can
information.
identify it for the
and
most
we
part.
should be able to help you. Now, here's the next best tip for you taking pictures of plants. Take a picture of the overall plant, take a picture of the leaf, and take a picture of the flower if there is
Right.
one. Those three things are super important because, as we mentioned, for instance, in front of us, this is an ivy. This is a Hedera. There's lots of ivies out there.
Right.
But if somebody took a picture of this, the leaf, and if it was blooming, the flower on it, we can identify it as Hedera Erectus
Right.
and be able to match it. But if they just sent us a picture of the leaf, we'd tell them, oh, it's a Hedera, it's an ivy.
Right.
It wouldn't be maybe that
Right.
specific
So,
one.
so you want to be specific, obviously.
Yeah. So if you're taking photos, make sure 3 parts of it. And don't do just the overall and say, oh, well, you can see the flowers and you can see the leaf. Because then when we zoom in on the
Yeah.
photo, it pixelates it and we always can't tell. Like, how many petals are on that flower? The leaves, which way the veins go. Those are the things that help a nurseryman identify plants.
Now, I've got an app on my phone that is supposed to identify plants. For the most part, it does okay. I think what I'll do is pull it out and let's see how good a job it does.
Yeah.
On identifying a plant.
All right. Yeah. Let's see if it knows sedum sea urchin. No, I doubt it'll know that.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. How specific can we get here?
See, I don't think that the apps I've seen don't work at all.
Well, let's see here, John.
So it'll surprise me.
So, but back to the garden walk. So that's
Yes.
one way to really take advantage of the garden tour or the garden walk, is using those photos to identify plants, getting those photos for inspiration as far as your own garden. Now, the other thing that would be good, and this is good if the homeowners are there at the tour themselves, because they can interact with the people that are attending. Talk about the maintenance, because these gardens are put on these tours for a reason. It's because they're well taken care of, and you know, they're beautiful to look at. But you want to talk to the homeowner and say, you know, this plant, you know, how much do you maintain it? Because that'll give you a good idea of what the effort will be when you have it in your yard. Because as we all know, I mean, you know, over here to the side, I've got a pomegranate with a bright orange red flower right above the button plant.
Right.
Yeah.
The button bush, and
button
you
bush.
just answered Lila's question.
Oh, did I? Without?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, but she says vining plant, because it does look vining just because the stems are weak right now, right?
And that's part of what I'm kind of getting at with these walks is, you know, you don't know whether that plant's 1 year old or 10 years old.
Right.
You don't know if it is a vining plant or a tree. And so if you ask about the maintenance of things, you'll start to get an understanding of the plants, because when you go into a garden center, you see the plants and they're all new, but that doesn't give you what they're going to look at down the road 5 years, 10
Right.
years, how much you have to trim it back, how much you have to cut it back in the cleanup, because that's going to be also a sign of what you're going to need to look forward to in the future when it comes to maintaining.
Let's test
Now,
John's theory.
Okay, what did you do? California Sunset Pomegranate.
Is it California
and look
Sunset?
In which app is this, Brian?
This is called, what is this?
Exit out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's California Sunset. It doesn't look like California Sunset. It's wonderful. The pomegranate is wonderful. The app identified it as California Sunset.
Right. And let me get out of here.
But all he did was take an overall picture of the plant. He didn't even do like a close-up of the flower or the leaf.
Now, what about if you took a picture of my rose? Obviously, that's not going
Let's
to
see what
know
happens.
because
Well,
it's
to
not
see if
named,
it-
but
to
would it know if it's a rose?
Well, yeah,
Let's see if it says the fairy.
This
Why
is
the
called,
fairy?
okay, the app is called Planty.
Plant
Planty.
Okay.
Planty.
Planty.
Yeah.
So we're going to identify, we're going to take a picture, identify. Which one, John? The,
Right there in front there.
Right.
okay.
So then the other thing I want to mention when it comes to these garden tours is give yourself some time, because you know you're not going to want to rush through the yards. You want to be able to take your time. Some yards might not inspire you and you'll pass through real quick. Other ones you're probably going to take a little bit more time. But if you want to utilize the garden walk, garden tour to its maximum, you're going to want to take the time to stroll, see all the different parts of it, and you know, bring water, comfortable shoes, a hat, wear your sunscreen, so that way you can really enjoy the overall event.
It's pretty general. It says we are updating our records, meaning we're not sure yet. It identifies it as an evergreen rose.
Oh, well, that's
Pretty close.
good.
It's pretty close.
At least it got that it was a rose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was because it doesn't look like a typical rose.
Right.
What
Well,
else?
that
You know what?
surprises me.
It's called. Yeah, it's called a planty. Is the Planty, and like these are all pictures at home of my
Of
plants.
what you've taken
Of what I've
pictures of?
taken. Right. And it also, you can set up a watering schedule. It'll remind you. So you take a picture of a particular plant, and then it says, do you want a watering schedule for that plant?
Really?
And you can set it up. It'll remind you. Send you reminders.
I don't know about that name though. That sounds like
Planty?
something that you would see on Pee Wee Herman. What app are you using? I'm using Planty.
Planty.
I'm going to sit in my cherry
I'm going to sit in my
and use
chair.
my Planty app.
Let's try. Do you have one that's
Try
a little more
Russian sage over there.
right over to the right?
Yeah, that purple one.
Oh, Brian's having fun now.
Yeah, he's going to just walk around the nursery identifying plants, getting them which ones are wrong and which ones are right.
Well, so far we've been pretty good.
Yeah.
What was that? Did you do the sedum that was in front of you?
This one here.
Yeah.
Peak of blue Russian sage. Look at that.
It's probably not peekaboo though.
Probably not, but I mean, it's cool. And that's ambitious for the app to actually put a
Right.
varietal name
Right
with
here?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially since it's been wrong every time. You think it would try to stay
But you
general.
know what? I can almost guarantee that app is bought by some company, and those plants come from that company. So it's like when
Oh.
Rovi or something puts out the app,
That's
and,
possible.
and Needle Stonecrop. I mean, it's sedum, and it's
a stone crop, yeah.
and Linaire. It's got the botanical in the
All right.
varietal name.
All right,
right?
I am more impressed than I thought I would
Okay,
be.
there you go, guys.
Yeah.
Plantsy.
So yeah, I mean, if you have one of those apps, that might be a good thing to take on the garden tour as well, and just take it for what it is. That it's going to give you a variety and a name, and you might have to do a little more
Right.
research after that. Once you narrow it down to that,
Right.
then you can do a little bit more work on trying to narrow
Yeah,
down.
so if
that
you
variety.
you could take your own picture. If you have an app, do that. I mean, give yourself as many opportunities to get a head start in identifying.
See-
You've got the app and you've got your camera.
See, what I would do is it identified it as a sedum, right?
Right.
And it gave you the botanical name and the kind of varietal name. And then what I would do is take that into my search engine and then type in a little bit more
Right,
about
right,
the
right.
plant. And then, in the search engine, it would pop up a lot more varieties. And then maybe you can identify it
Right.
from there.
You can narrow it down.
Yeah. So, that's another good thing to do while you're on the walk.
I think one of the main benefits, and I think you either said it and I wasn't paying attention, or at least alluded to the fact that if you want to plant a tree at your house, unless you see a full-grown tree in some setting, you don't really know what it's going to do
Yes.
or what it's going to look
Yes. Yes, exactly.
like.
Yeah.
Like you planted, not on purpose, but you planted a Ficus benjamina on the corner of your house, right? Some type of ficus that rooted into the ground out of the pot.
Yes, it was in a pot,
Right.
and it wasn't very big, and it started to grow. It was huge. It was magnificent. And then I went to move the pot one day, and the pot wouldn't move.
Right.
And these roots had gone underground. And then John talked about the fact that it was so close to the house. We've got to be careful here because it could do some damage. The roots, right?
Right.
So
Well, you noticed
we had it removed.
You noticed in the kitchen that if you put something on the floor, it just rolled to the other end.
Exactly.
Because it had
The
lifted
foundation.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Whole
had it
house is
removed,
tilting.
and never thought it would grow through the pot, but it did. So something else to be aware of.
John says, "Oops, geranium."
Uh-oh.
I'm not
There's something
sure what-
above. Oh, what's the vining plant? Oh, we already answered that one, right?
Yeah.
The pomegranate. This is a carex. I thought these were cute. I found this in our little house plant department, and it's that corkscrew kind of carex.
The carex or a juncus?
I thought it was a carex.
Carex ajuncus?
You're right,
No.
because there are juncus that are corkscrew too, right?
Right.
I think I saw it in the houseplant area.
Looks like a Dr. Seuss plant.
Looks like a juncus to me.
Maybe it's a juncus, yeah.
Now, is it a Chinese juncus?
That's good, right?
But these are fun little plants. The little corkscrew ones. They add these became real popular in combination pots. Mixed with other flowers and plants, and it's a kind of a fun little thing.
There's that other. Was it an albuca? It's called. Is it Frizzle Sizzle?
Yeah.
That's
Frizzle
one of
sizzle.
my favorite plants. I
Yeah,
really
very
like
fun,
that.
right?
I found what John was referring to. He said another candidate for invasive plants
Oh.
is Geranium incanum, another South African immigrant.
Now that one, it doesn't reseed, right? It actually roots, spreading.
I'm not sure. I thought it did both.
Did it both?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Some of those geraniums will spread out, and again, we're talking true geraniums, not
Right.
pelargoniums. So.
Right.
The people think like, what? I've never had a geranium take over an area.
Unless it's
Peop-
one plant that you don't prune back and
Yeah.
it just grows forever.
And that's just
Yeah.
it. A lot of people will say, I've wanted more geraniums, and
Yeah.
they die off. So they're like, is there an invasive one? No.
They
this is-
grow right out of the pot and through everything else if you don't keep them trimmed back. You got to cut them back.
When we lived in Michigan, we talked about it before, but geraniums were grown as annuals because they would never make it through the winter. But a lot of people would pull them out of the ground, and then hang them upside down in their basement, and then plant them back in the spring.
Just dry it out, kind of a thing, and then the roots.
Yeah.
Once they like a resurrection plant, once they added water again, it would
Right.
just start again.
Well, you know, pelargoniums in general are drought-tolerant plants, and even though they're not true succulents, they do store water.
Yeah.
So a lot of the species, once they've dried out, you know, when their growing season starts again, they just leaf out, and if they have a source of water, they'll fill up. Like that geranium I gave you
Yeah.
does go dormant.
Yes.
I don't know if yours has yet, but
It did.
Usually after done blooming.
Yeah.
After it's done blooming, it'll go dormant.
Yeah, it did, and now it's already coming back again. And yeah, I mean, they're one of those plants that you just take a cutting, dip it in the ground, or stick it in the ground, and then they regrow. But I didn't know they can completely like overwinter and then start again the next year. That's pretty amazing.
It does have to be cool and damp, like
Yeah,
the basement.
yeah.
Right.
You can't just keep it on your kitchen counter, I'm sure, but still, pretty amazing.
John, by the way, wanted to let you know that the geranium incanum
Definitely
received. Yeah.
There's that other geranium, Cranesville. Which one?
That's the erodium.
Yeah, that one I think roots more.
Yeah, that I've never seen erodium seed.
Yeah.
But it could.
Yeah.
I mean, everything except except for spores, which come from ferns.
Yeah.
Everything's seeds, right?
It's got to have a flower, got to reproduce somewhere, right? Yeah. That's that is the thing. People think, oh, does this have a flower? They always ask, does this have a flower? Yeah. If it's not a fern, you know, it does flower somewhere somehow. It might only flower every 20 years or whatever, but it will flower at some point in time because all plants have to have a way to reproduce.
Tucker, what is your watering schedule around here?
Daily.
Daily, every day.
Every day. Some areas get watered twice a day. Like the bedding plants, because the root systems are so small in those pots on a real hot day, we would have to water twice a day.
Because they'll dry out, right?
Yep.
The same as my watering schedule.
I was going to say, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but John's all alone doing his. I have help here.
Well, yeah. I mean, see, John, your roses, if you were to bring your roses in here, they would take up that whole, of course, you can't see it behind the camera, that whole section back in front of us, right?
I think
they would take the whole section behind us for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This whole area, all the way to the fence on both sides, you know, would be John's roses.
Yeah, we should have done this from my house also.
We can.
Well,
we can. We will.
They're going to be all bloomed out by the time we get up there?
Probably. But you know what? Because I had to cut them back in stages, I have one area that hasn't even bloomed yet.
Really?
Probably about 2 to 3 weeks away from blooming.
Man, I've been heading up north a few times, and it's been getting warm.
Yeah.
Right? Have you been hitting 85?
You know, it hasn't been bad yet, and it's going to cool down the next few days.
Yeah.
But while I am in Idaho, we have 2 days of near 100.
No.
While you're gone.
Well, when I come back, like...
Oh, okay, so you'll be there to water.
I won't be here next Saturday, but I'm coming back Saturday afternoon, so I hope I have time to water, because that day is going to be near 100. The previous day, 80. And
you need to just get big sprinklers that just spray the whole thing.
either that or better friends that will come over and check my watering
Better
for
friends.
me.
Well, you can be on a watering schedule, can't you?
On a watering schedule?
Yeah, can't you? You can't.
He doesn't have his plants hooked up to a drip.
Yeah,
No.
you don't. Okay.
He does not.
I did originally hook my roses up to a drip, and I lost 200 because of that.
Can't trust it.
Can't trust.
Well, you
Can't trust technology.
Well, you can't trust it because rabbits and squirrels come and eat all the drip, and then your plants are dead before you know it.
You have a lot of rabbits in your area?
No rabbits anymore. I don't know what happened to
Coyotes.
rabbits.
Coyotes. That's why you have no
Could be,
rabbits.
but I have plenty of squirrels. And you know what? The squirrels have been going into the hen house and pulling out eggs.
The
Really?
squirrels?
The
have been?
squirrels?
Yeah.
Really?
Something is because they're all outside the hen house. The eggs.
And they just pull them out,
Yeah.
but they don't crack them or anything.
No. I don't think they figured out how to do that. I don't even know if they know they're edible. They just go, I'm going to
"What is
steal
this?"
something.
And worry about it later.
Yeah.
I think I should like this, but I don't know how to open it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
we found out. My son said, "Have you been taking the eggs in the morning?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, there aren't any." So we started looking around. We found a half a dozen outside the hen house.
Maybe they're laying them outside the hen house.
They never leave. They're
Oh,
locked in.
they're locked in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I
You
don't
guys
know
need
what
a
to
little
do.
video camera on it, see what's happening.
That's what. Yeah, exactly.
Those little nature cams are pretty cool. I know a lot of people.
Oh, the ones that set them up in the forest.
Yeah, they set them up wherever they feel they want to watch
And have
something.
you seen the ones where they'll put like a whole chicken or a pizza?
No.
And then they'll set up the camera, then leave.
And like the velociraptor comes and grabs
And
it.
they watch all these raccoons and deer and bear that come around there and sniff it. And some are more voracious than others, as far as like destroying the pizza or the chicken.
I would
and
not
they put the chicken
recommend
on a post.
I would not recommend doing that anywhere near your house, because the last thing you want to be doing is attracting raccoons or bears
Oh, yeah.
to your home.
But they go
It might be nice to do in the forest.
Yes.
But yeah.
Elisa says that geraniums was the first plant that she stuck in the ground, helping her mother when she was 5 years old.
Oh, nice.
And she said now she's 60, she's
Still sticking them in the ground.
And then Carla says that she has a couple invasive nominees, but the worst is nutsedge.
Oh, it is. It is the worst in terms of, a lot of the other ones you can spray a imidacloprid, or glyphosate on it and kill it.
Right.
Even cat's claw, morning glory, thunbergia, these ones, you spray Roundup on it, it kills it.
Right.
Nutsedge,
It doesn't?
It doesn't kill it.
Really?
Yeah, you have to use a specific nutgrass killing product. And I can't remember what the agent is, but even then, on the package, it doesn't even say it will kill nutsedge. It says it just controls it. And it's because you have to keep reapplying it to completely get rid
Like
of
that
it.
word control.
Yeah. So that
You
is a
remember
tough
my
one.
story about, again, back to when I was 17 working in the nursery, and it was also called nutgrass, right?
Yeah.
And this was in Michigan, and a guy came up to me and he goes, he just had it with him, and he showed it to me, and he goes, "Do you know what this is? It's a weed in my yard." I go, "Well, it's nutgrass." And he goes, he just stared at me and he goes, "Well, what is it?" I said, "It's nutgrass." And he said, "Yeah, but do you know what it is?" I said, "It's nutgrass." And he screamed at me, "I know it's nutgrass. What is it?"
Gosh.
So
Oh.
then I just started laughing.
And then he got more mad at you?
No, before he slugged me, I said, N-U-T.
Yeah.
It's nutgrass. Here's what you use.
Yeah, and for those of you listening who don't know what nutgrass or nutsedge is, it's a grassy plant, but you can definitely tell when you dig it up, it has the little bulblet nuts, on the root system. And one of the biggest problems with it being invasive is that when you dig it out, there's no chance you're getting it all out.
Well, wherever those little nuts or bulblets are in the soil, they'll start a whole new plant.
They'll start a whole new plant, and they'll start more than one. So it's almost like dividing it and creating more of a problem when you dig it out. So a very difficult plant to control.
Our buddy Jimmy from Oceanside
Says hi.
Says hi.
Hello, Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy. Good morning. Yeah.
John's changing his mind about the geranium incanum. He says that Carla's right, that nutsedge is the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah. I have a lawn in my backyard, and when we bought the home, we put in a brand new marathon grass lawn, and slowly but surely nutsedge is taking over the lawn, and I just haven't felt the effort to. When it first started happening, I was treating it, I was spraying it, and now I'm just like
The white flag.
yeah, I'll just give up on it for now, and we're gonna do work, and at that time maybe I'll work on getting rid of it and then replacing the lawn. But yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because it'll just take over.
So how close, Tiger, the garden walk here in San Diego, for those that are familiar, close to this area?
And Mission Hills, as
Mission
far
Hills?
as well, this is one of the very few garden walks, so you can truly walk this event. Meaning, It starts here at the nursery.
You don't need a car.
And you can just simply put on your shoes and walk from home to home.
2 miles.
Yeah, it's a 2
2
mile
miles.
loop.
Thank
you very
you.
much. It's a 2 mile loop, and you can do it over a course of hours. So you're not rushing through it at all. You can stop and have lunch and then continue.
But the tour's sold out, right?
Yeah. Definitely the tour is sold out for anybody wanting to come down. But in general, most tours are tours where you get a map, you get in your car, and you drive from home to home. I mean, I think even Fallbrook has a tour.
They have one coming up.
Yeah, next weekend I think it is.
Is that? I think I saw somebody post on it.
I think the Fallbrook.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
And
next
so,
weekend. Fallbrook
where
walk.
you're going to get a map,
Sure.
and you will drive from home to home, and then you park, and you get out, and you walk, and then you get in your car again, and then you drive to the next, and you can do it over the course of the day. It's all very local here for the Mission Hills one. So for the other tours, though, depending on where they're at, I think some of them even take place over a weekend. So where they do 2 days. It just depends on the event.
Here's one of the biggest questions of the morning from Jimmy.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Is the Milorganite in yet?
Here, yes.
Hey,
Yes, we do have Milorganite in stock, Jimmy. Yes.
come on down.
Now, that's not just something you say yes to everybody, and when they get here and it's not.
Yeah.
It's out of stock. You go, oh, somebody bought the last one.
No, we have a pallet back there, I know for sure.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So Milorganite is in stock. Any other questions?
Well, yeah, Carla says I'm just learning to live with it. Yeah.
Oh, the Nutsedge.
It's kind of like you,
Nutsedge.
Tiger.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough product. Tough problem.
You know what? I'm surprised at my new home. I have 3.5 acres in Fallbrook. That so far there is no Bermuda grass on the 3.5 acres.
That's very surprising, especially since you scraped so much.
Yeah.
A lot of times that will kick up problems.
Right.
Yeah. That's good.
So far I don't understand why.
If you see any, you better treat it right away. So it never.
Don't treat it like you did the Nutsedge.
No. Like right away. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Full application, kill it, so that way it just never gets there.
I think you're right.
You gotta screen the plants that you bring in to make sure they don't have them in the pots.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, John, you today schedule, plants, Fallbrook, home. What's happening?
I'm going to Meridian, Idaho, on Tuesday.
Tuesday. So,
Right. So, and I won't be home till Saturday afternoon.
So lots of watering.
But I have a friend coming to water one day, and I don't know if that's going to be enough.
I was going to say,
even though the weather's going to be cool until that Saturday.
you'll just eke by, right?
Well, I'm concerned about my rose seedlings, of which I have 300 right now, and then the shipment of roses that came from France.
Are your seedlings in the shade though? Because you have that shade area.
No, they're out in full sun.
And are they in 1 gallons, or are they in there? You sometimes start them in trays.
They're in liner pots.
So can't you just move those into the shade?
Yeah, but I don't know if they would. Maybe I could move them in the garage even. I don't know. I'm going to trust that these people do a good job watering.
I like how he's not putting any names out there right now in case something
And it doesn't
happens.
sound like a very close friend. These people. I'm going to trust these people.
On Saturday, I'll let you know whether they were a close friend or not. Whether they're still a close friend.
That's great.
So what else? What else do we have in front that we didn't talk
Yeah,
about?
did we address everything?
Something that I'm fascinated with is that somebody would do breeding on Caprasma, the mirror plants.
Yeah.
And that breeding came out of New Zealand, but used to be, it's called a mirror plant because it's a shiny green leaf that you can almost see yourself in. That's how shiny it is. But somebody's done breeding, and now there's all different colors.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the name of the one in front of us is.
Yeah, I don't know the name off the top of my head because, like you say, there's so many varieties.
Right.
But I mean, this one has that red, yellow, orange, green, and unlike other plants that have that coloration, that in the fall they turn colors.
Right.
This is the way it is
All year
every
round.
day of the year.
And they take full sun. You would think they're shade plants, but
Yep.
they're not. They'll take full sun. And we have them in kind of a water thrifty area.
I was gonna say one of the biggest things that people do is they actually overwater it. They kill it by overwatering.
Yeah.
Because they think it's one of these plants that need a lot of water and can tolerate it. But in a new landscape, we've planted these and gone back, 2 weeks later, and people say, "Oh, they're dying. They're not getting enough water." When I dig them out, they were just too wet. They were just too wet, even on a new planting. So, even on a new planting, they should be low watering. Yeah. So that's a cool one.
Okay,
Caprasma.
now here's an important thing we need to take care of. Gina says, do you want me to see if Tiffany can come over and water?
Okay, who's Tiff?
Now, Tiffany's a friend of Gina's.
Uh-huh.
There was a friend of hers when she lived in Temecula. It would not hurt Gina. Let me know. And if she could just check, it wouldn't hurt.
Now, don't you have a son that lives there?
He's coming with us.
Oh, that's tough. I was going
Right,
to say,
see,
oh
that's
no.
the problem.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone.
Well, I'll throw this out there for John then, because so Tiffany, if you go in water, John will let you use their bathroom, which is basically like staying in a 5-star resort.
The one that John
there.
never uses.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just enjoy the garden from there,
Speaking of 5-star resorts, when we went to Cuba, we stayed in is it the Hotel Nacional?
I don't know.
The one that was in, The Godfather. Remember The
I know.
Godfather?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. Because there's been no building built in Cuba virtually since 1957
Right.
when they had the revolution.
No cars
Wow.
brought in.
Yeah,
So
all
we
the same
stayed
classic
there.
cars are over there.
Yeah, and this is, this was a 5-star hotel in the 30s, and it still was. But we woke up one morning and the entire room was flooded. And this wasn't unusual for them.
Okay.
We told them they would check on it. I think they fixed it eventually. But there was a hotel in Cuba, another 5-star hotel, which I didn't know about. I think they were renovating it, and it blew up yesterday or the day before.
Just blew up.
Just
Really?
blew up.
My
They
goodness.
said it was I think they said it was a gas leak. Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen enough movies. No, it's not a gas leak, right?
Could be.
It might have been a Mission Impossible scenario or something.
Gina says that Tiffany can check on the chickens too, John.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll give the chickens water and feed before we leave.
Enough
We
for
might
what,
have
4 or 5 days?
Chicken dinner when we come back. We don't have to worry. Don't have to worry about the eggs because the squirrels will take those.
Squirrels are taking care of the eggs.
The squirrels, John put a little basket out there, and the squirrel just takes it and puts it in the basket for John.
Yeah, that would. If I could train him to do that.
Exactly. That'd be
yeah.
amazing, right? Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to going to Idaho because it's their spring.
Right.
Oh, it's going to be nice.
Yeah,
It should be really
But
nice.
you know what? It's going to be cold while we're there.
Well, they're still cold in their spring.
Well, they
Their
have.
spring isn't summer like us.
I was looking on my phone and it said one night was going to be 32.
They go out in shorts on those days, right?
My dad used to have a phrase that applies to me trying to garden in an area like that now. My dad always used to say, I couldn't live like that.
Couldn't live like that. I couldn't live like
I
that.
couldn't live like that. So, but it is fun to see the change of seasons. Now, in July, we're going to visit my son in Indianapolis for a longer period of time. But my daughter's going to come stay at our house. So I don't have to worry about the watering.
You know, this
that
is
period.
interesting because you're leaving this week, and then mid-June, I'm leaving for Wyoming to visit my
All right.
son, and then again in July, you're gone.
Well, late June will be springtime for Wyoming, right?
Yeah, it should be nice. And they just bought a house. Did I tell you?
You did.
They bought a huge
A
house.
farm.
And like a farm.
Right.
And I saw the pictures and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of room here. So the timing worked out because we tried to go see them back in December and never made it because of the weather. And I realized why. The timing was off because now we can see their new house. See, because they would have moved into their new house had we gone in December.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have gone back probably to see the
No.
house.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see the house. So that's going to be like 18th, 19th, 20th of June.
Happens for a reason.
Happens for a reason.
Now,
So
do you think, is there any potential of you seeing this house, this space, and you're like thinking Dana, you, retirement,
Yeah, you know, I can
Wyoming?
see, if not Wyoming, someplace like this. And they paid a good chunk of change for Wyoming for this place.
I don't think Brian
But-
can live in the cold though.
Oh, I went to school in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Yeah, I went to school.
But gardening.
He used to play on ice.
That's true. That is true.
But Tiger brings up a good point. If I'm relegated to gardening half the year, I don't know. I don't know. I'm used to going out there anytime I want.
You're gonna have to have one big fish tank. I'll tell you that if you go to Wyoming, because those months where you're stuck inside.
Yeah, watch the fish for those months, right?
But you know what? If you're gardening in those kind of climates and you've got space, because right now you have a small area to take
Right.
care of.
Oh, I'd love to have room.
If you have a huge garden, you'll be so tired out by the end of fall.
I'll be happy to have the rest.
Right, you'll want the rest, and then that's when the catalogs come in. You just start looking at catalogs all winter.
Do they still put out seed catalogs?
Oh yeah.
Really? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where have you been? Of course they do.
Well, they do, a lot of the plant companies put out catalogs.
I'm trying to read this. Neem gives oxygen 24 hours, house a day. Stay off to the side, buddy. Isaac's getting antsy here. You want to come say hi to everybody in the
Come on,
camera?
say hi. Come on over here.
Yeah. My son is here with us this morning because he's got to hang out with Dad until the garden walk starts. Say hi.
He's not in the picture. There he is.
There he is,
Okay,
yeah.
there he is.
Can you read that one? Gives oxygen 24 hours.
I'm not sure what that
hours a day.
means.
I'm not sure either. Darmesh. Neem gives oxygen 24 house a day. So 24 hours a day? I'm not sure.
Maybe. And
Yeah.
you know what? Neem, you might be talking about a neem tree.
Oh yeah. True, right?
Right,
Could be talking about the neem tree. Didn't think about it. I think of it just as the neem oil.
right. But that's where the neem oil
Comes from is the
Right.
tree.
Yeah.
Now those trees come from South Africa, India,
India.
India.
Right. That
Yeah.
area over there.
I'm a neem guy.
I tried growing a neem tree once and did not take care of it.
Yeah.
But I think we could grow one here,
I think so.
especially here
Yeah.
because it's a little more mild.
You know what
Right.
I'm having a hard time doing? Not taking care of the bottle brush tree.
Yeah.
Bottle tree.
I think
Bottle- not bottle brush,
it's-
bottle tree.
I imagine you're probably overwatering it and it's not enough sun.
I haven't done. I'm just looking at it. I want to water. Now and then I'll be watering it. I'll look at it and I'll go. Kind of a little bit of water. A little bit of water.
Well, it does need water.
Oh, it's getting a little water, but
Yeah.
but like you said, it's one of those where it just, I guess, benign neglect. Is that what it likes?
Yeah. And it doesn't really do a lot.
It doesn't. It looks the same as the day you gave it to me
Yeah.
in a bigger pot.
Yeah. It should be putting out new leaves now, though. It should be starting, even though it won't be fast.
Okay, we'll see. We'll take a look.
We'll see about
We'll see how that goes. But it's doing fine. It's doing really well.
What do we got? About 5 minutes left of
Got
the
about
program?
5 minutes. Yeah, I'd say so. I think we've answered just about all the questions. We identified some plants with this Planty app, and I agree, John. That's kind of a lame name, Planty. Planty.
Oh yeah. But if Planty does want to sponsor the program, we're
Yeah.
willing to discuss.
Sure. So far, I think it was 5 for 5 today. I think it got close
I mean,
enough.
it got all the plants
I was
right.
surprised how close it got.
Yeah.
I really was.
Yeah. So.
And especially that it could identify a rose
That
seedling
it knew that
as
it was
a rose.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, could it identify the imposter rose?
I don't know. It might even say imposter on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what it links to. You would think if it linked to Google Images.
Yeah.
Because
Could do a lot.
those apps for identifying birds are pretty accurate.
Yeah. Exactly.
And stars. In mountain ranges.
Right.
Do you know there was an app that you can just point at the mountains and they'll tell you what it is?
Which mountain it is?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty phenomenal.
Because I always have people that come to my house ask me what mountain is that. I'm like, I don't know mountains. Do you?
I know. Well, there's Cowles Mountain here in San Diego. The Soledad Mountain. There's
The Cuyamacas. It's like I don't know.
well, there's
any
the
of that
Rocky
stuff.
Mountains. How about that? The
Yeah, but
Appalachian
they're
Mountains.
a long. Rocky Mountains are a long way from here.
They are.
I'm talking about here. People want to know a specific mountain. or
So what do you
hill.
think? Are we have we done it? Are we
think,
good?
I think so. I mean, if there's no other questions for anybody to answer today, I think we'll wrap up our program. if you get a chance and you're in a community and you get a look search whatever city you're in, garden club, and there's a good opportunity that they do have a garden walk, because they do it for fundraisers for their garden walks or garden clubs. And garden clubs use their funds to usually beautify the community,
right.
educate the community on gardening, support school gardens as well. So a lot of times this is a great fundraiser that garden clubs will do to gather funds for those ventures. So
maybe just put in garden walk in the name of the city,
and something should pop up. But now is the time, because for every city now, spring is upon us and people are getting ready. I think maybe the East Coast maybe do their walks in June, because if they're planting now, are they kind of looking really good in June?
Yeah, I would say so. There's a rose grower. When we go to visit Gina, I think we might stop. Not a rose grower, but a rose gardener. And she has about 1,500 roses in her garden, planted in the ground. And I told her we'd stop by, and she said, well, of course the roses won't be in bloom because we're just cutting back now.
Yeah.
So that's just out of winter. So they're looking at mid-June before they have flowers.
Yeah.
So you and I are back in studio next week, minus John.
Yes, when our guest will be Lisa Steele, and we're going to be talking chicken gardening.
Chicken gardening next week.
Chicken gardening, yes.
Hey, thank you for joining us here at Mission Hills Nursery. And we'll do it again next week. John is off next week. We're back in studio. So have yourself a great rest of your weekend. If you're doing a garden walk, enjoy that.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day tomorrow. Have a safe week, and we'll do it again next week here on Garden America. Take care. Bye-bye.
Marilyn wanted to know on a scale of